Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Storm Tracker Chief Meteorologist Jesse Gunkel, and we are giving you the very latest on a potential dangerous situation happening and unfolding right now in southern Mississippi. We still sit underneath a tornado warning. You can see the area of Woodville. If you live anywhere within that red box, take shelter immediately. Find that safe place because, again, you're looking at an area where there potentially is a tornado on the ground. Again, this is radar indicated, but we're seeing very good signs of rotation within this system. There's plenty of wind shear, maybe even the chance for some very large hail. We're talking a quarter-inch in diameter and maybe even greater. So, again, this same cell has a history of producing damage. We had some very strong winds, a bunch of power outages across the western half of the state. The same line is now starting to inch its way and move towards the east now at about 30-35 miles per hour. But you can see that pretty intense pocket right in the middle. Really, this tornado warning is in place until 11 p.m. and they may extend it even a little bit further. And as you see here, that's where the bullseye is. We've got a couple little skits out there, these arrows, and you notice again the one a little bit further south. The concern is that there actually may be some rotation, and you see it's heading right directly towards Woodville and will arrive in about 18 minutes. So if you live anywhere in between, I know a lot of people have their hunting camps up there. I know it's not the most populated area, but still, again, do what's smart right now. Have that game plan and put it into action because we're seeing a pretty intense cell moving through the area. Even if there isn't a tornado out there, if we're not seeing the swirling winds, you still probably get some gusty winds up to about 60, 65 plus miles an hour. And you see here our indicators showing maybe the possibility of hail up to about 3/4 of an inch. And again, that's pretty large. And the probability for hail is very high at about 90%. So you can see that the shear rate is also extremely high. And when you look at our VTI, that's our index, and it's kind of inching closer to a pretty potentially strong and, again, somewhat destructive cell that's making its way towards the Woodville area. That's a little bit concerning. You can see, again, more of the severe weather threat, and I'll show you that. And you see towards Woodville, should be arriving in about 16 minutes now, so that's kind of sped up. Norwood, we're talking about 29 minutes, and then Wilson, we're sitting at about 30 minutes, and you see it just updated our graphics. So with the latest scan out there, you can see that everything has kind of moved up just a little bit. So your window is quickly closing out there. And again, the concern is, yeah, that we've got a lot of shear within inside this cell, and yes, we could be seeing some strong damaging winds out there. I'm going to show you our Barron indicator, and obviously, again, this is the concern out there. Obviously, some pretty decent sized hail, but you can kind of see the red blocks in there underneath along with the brighter reds. Well, that indicates shear, and what you kind of get in that is, which means rotation, and that a lot of times will lead to quick spin-ups out there, some brief tornadoes out there. But we're also looking at what could be some pretty large hail, kind of indicated by that purple pink color. So I also want to point out, look at the rainfall rates kind of indicated with this cell. And you can see there is, again, that it's pretty intense. And I'll just kind of give you an indicator of what we're looking at. And obviously, we're probably not seeing about 7 inches per hour, but we could be more in that maybe 3 to 4 inch category per hour. That could lead to some localized flash flooding. This is not the quickest of moving thunderstorms, so that rain could really add up. We're talking some ponding on roadways, maybe a little bit of flooding in your backyard, all heading towards the Woodville area as the system continues to track its way towards the east. And once again, I'm just going to show you some of those numbers, and it's showing you up to about 7 inches per hour. I doubt that's happening, but I still think some pretty intense rainfall that could be quite blinding at times. So just watch out for that. And I do want to point out again, the concern is you kind of see these little spikes, this blue, and that could be some, again, some very large hail kind of getting picked up and indicated. Now, I do want to point out that where the site starts its scan, it's all the way over in Slidell, but you can see, again, you're looking at the upper levels of the atmosphere, but it means it's getting up there. The scan is, you're talking about something that's pretty elevated in the clouds, and that's, yeah, that could be some pretty large hailstones making its way to the surface if they don't melt, but I still think they're going to, if they're that large, they're definitely coming down and holding together at the surface. So you can see here, we still sit underneath just to kind of reiterate what we're talking about, to go back over what the concern is. Severe thunderstorm warning until 11, but the concern is more that tornado warning now until 11:15 for portions of Wilkinson County in southern Mississippi, and also for northern portions of Point Capee and West Feliciana. So that is the concern, that we could be seeing an isolated tornado on the ground. And just to show you again what we're currently looking at, you can see the area indicated by that like black, and you'll see right here again that could be that hail area. The concern for maybe some possible rotation would be a little bit further south. So that's what we're watching as we move forward. And just to kind of show you what we're kind of keeping an eye on, you can see that the difference between the red and the bright greens. I'm going to show you another scan out there, and we're kind of watching a little bit of that pocket, a little bit more down here where we just a little bit north of. And let me erase that, but this is the area of concern right there. And you can see just north of, just to give you an idea and some bearings, we're talking right just north of Pinckneyville. That could be the concern. It looks like the National Weather Service, just to get an update, has dropped Point Capee Parish from that severe thunderstorm warning. But as you see, this is our marker indicating that potential for wind shear, which means, again, this is Doppler indicated, but there could be a potential tornado on the ground. And again, we don't really know, we haven't had any visible reports yet of any damage out there, but what we're seeing here on the Doppler radar is a little bit concerning, because what you're getting is a scan a little bit more in the upper levels of the atmosphere. That's why this column looks so high. So does it actually translate to the surface? That's what we need to kind of see. I wouldn't take that chance. At this point, if you live anywhere within that red box, that's where you need to seek shelter immediately. And what I suggest is have multiple ways to receive warnings. First of all, you can always download our app. It's a great and useful tool. You probably got these warnings that are currently popping in from the National Weather Service. You get them directly. Just search for the Be Our Proud Storm Team at the Apple Store, or you can go to Google Play. Same thing. It's a great app. You get all the alerts, closings, and if you get any information, you can also send that directly to us, because sometimes you got to be the eyes, the sights and sounds for us a little bit closer to where the center of this system is. So right now, those under the gun, it's mainly Woodville, because again, it's not the most populated area, but still watch that cell very, very closely. Excuse me. And you can see here, again, the concern is watching for rotation within this cell. There is that possibility that we could have a tornado. And once again, we're kind of watching more areas a little bit further east as this cell continues to move in that general location. You can see also a lot of lightning, and that's also a very big issue when it comes to thunderstorms. We're getting quite a few lightning strikes out there, so you never want to get hit by lightning, obviously. So be indoors, well away from windows. Find that safe place. Usually a good spot would be like a closet or a bathroom. You can always bring in pillows. You can also bring in some comforters, just something to kind of protect your head a little bit. Helmets. Yeah, I know it sounds funny, but helmets are actually a good thing. And you can see, again, we're talking some pretty large hailstones. If you live in the Woodville area, key also here is that if you got your vehicle outside, I know the winds are really starting to kind of pick up in that general area, but you know what you might want to do is park that car underneath the carport or in a garage if you have it. So let's see here, going with a downstream tornado possible. Okay, so it looks like they're going to drop the tornado warning, but it does look like they're going to kind of push that severe thunderstorm warning a little bit further east. And that again is the latest from the National Weather Service. So we got a few more minutes. It looks like this tornado warning they're going to allow to expire most likely at about, well, I would say 11:15, and right now it's 10:51. So again, that's the current issue. So they're going to reissue, it looks like, okay, severe thunderstorm warning now, and you see if they've moved it and slid a couple more cities in the current path, and we're talking Gloucester now, Liberty, and Wilson in St. Helena Parish. So, oh, excuse me, that's East Feliciana Parish. So it's going to be clipping a few more cities as this cell starts to move through. So if you live anywhere within that orange box to yellow box, the key is, again, find that safe place, take shelter immediately, because the winds are really going to start to pick up. We could be seeing those gusts potentially greater than 60 miles per hour, but there's also that possibility, they want to include it, there's also that possibility that there could be a tornado down at the surface, and the concern is mainly because you can't get all the way down to the surface because we're only getting the upper levels of the atmosphere. We're scanning the upper layers of the clouds because that radar site is so far away. So we're still talking areas north of New Roads and St. Francisville out there at this hour. And as you can see here, we're going to watch a few more areas a little bit further towards the east. Now, I do want to show you a big picture out here too. When you take a look at the radar image, you can see right now what we're talking about. But notice, as we move into those evening hours, we've got a little bit of upper level support that could help add a little extra punch. And that's going to be the concerning part. You can see that line of thunderstorms extending to areas just north of Lake Charles down towards Beaumont. So there still could be a lot of areas with some very strong and damaging straight line winds on the way. So once again, Marksville getting hit very hard, Bunkie down towards the Ville Platte area, Mamou all the way to Eunice and north of Opelousas. And eventually, I do think that we are talking areas mainly north of the I-10, I-12 corridor as we continue to move forward, as we'll start to see those thunderstorms approach the area. But when you take a look at it, and I'm going to show you our futurecast here, and you'll kind of see what we're talking about currently, that we still remain underneath a slight risk for severe weather. And that's, again, you can see mainly north of Gonzales, north of Acadiana. And the concern is that really all types of severe weather are definitely possible, but there is, I think, main threat will be damaging winds, but there's also that threat that we could still see an isolated thunderstorm as we move into those evening hours. So I do want to point out this, and you'll see that, just give you an idea on Futurecast, you can see how that line kind of moves in, at least the brunt of it, by 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. I think it's shifted up a little bit, but not by much. So you can kind of see that line driving through Abbeville, north of New Iberia, through the Baton Rouge area around 2 o'clock in the morning. And the concerning part about that is it's while you're sleeping or if you want to try to get some sleep. So again, what I suggest is make sure your cell phone is charged, make sure the audio is all the way up. If you download the app, you're going to get the warnings. Again, it's a useful tool. Have it right next to your head. And again, if there's a tornado warning in your area, they're going to immediately alert you. So you can do that. You can turn on the television, and we're going to be here guiding you through these storms, through the overnight hours, and also social media. So if something does become a little bit more important over the next couple hours, we're obviously going to kind of give you the very latest information on that. So again, a lot going on, and I just want to show you one more time this. What you need to do before we go. We're going to continue to watch a lot of those areas. So just stay up to date with the forecast over the next few hours. Have multiple ways to receive warnings. And if you haven't come up with a game plan quite yet, well, now's the time to do so. Download our free app. You can easily do that by going to the App Store or Google Play. But as you see, big picture here, what we're watching is that, once again, that tornado warning until 11:15 for portions of Wilkinson County right now, and that eventually is going to slide towards the east. They're going to extend it more so not as a tornado warning, but it's going to be a severe thunderstorm warning that's heading towards Gloucester and Liberty. So if you live anywhere within that area, please take shelter immediately. We will continue to guide you through these storms, and we will have the very latest information as we head into those overnight hours. So once again, thank you for joining us this evening. If you have any questions or concerns, please drop us a line. If you're following us on Facebook, with obviously this Facebook Live feed, you can ask any question you want, and I'll be here to kind of answer what I can. Also, continue to follow our live stream with more information as these storms arise. Again, we're not done yet. We've still got plenty of activity heading into the overnight hours, and just be well aware of that before you head to bed. Again, it might be good to kind of even alternate people. Maybe your wife stay up for a little bit, or you and your husband stay up for a little bit before we get through these storms, especially if you have kids. So once again, we're going to try to keep you safe through the overnight hours, and just be smart and stay vigilant as we move forward.